What if the person you trusted most, the one who held your heart in their hands, was secretly plotting to destroy you? My name is Dorothy, and I lived that nightmare. Once, my name danced on Nathan's lips like a love song, each syllable wrapped in a warmth that felt like forever. In our early years, he'd murmur it as we stood on our balcony. The Hudson River glittering below, New York skyline/Twitter skyline painting promises of a shared future. His touch, his voice, made me believe nothing could touch us, not time, not doubt, not the chaos of the world. But tonight, my name sliced through the darkness of our penthouse like a shard of glass, sharp and cold, shattering every illusion I'd clung to. I woke at 2 a.m., my heart lurching in the silence. The bed beside me was empty, the sheets cold as betrayal. Nathan was gone. At first, I told myself it was nothing, maybe he was in the kitchen, pouring a glass of water, or answering a late email. But then I heard it, a low, deliberate whisper, slithering through the stillness, sharp enough to cut through the fog of sleep. His voice, but not the one I knew, not the one that once promised me the world. This was something darker, something dangerous. "She doesn't suspect a thing," Nathan hissed, his words coiling like a snake in the shadows. "We're so close." My breath caught, an invisible hand clamping my chest, squeezing out the air. Suspect what? Close to what? That nagging unease I'd buried, the way Nathan's eyes darted away when I asked about his late nights, the way he'd snap his phone shut when I entered the room, roared back, a tidal wave of doubt and fear crashing over me. My hands trembled as I slipped out of bed, bare feet meeting the icy hardwood floor, each step a pulse of dread echoing in my veins. I followed the whispers, drawn like a moth to a flame, to the door of his study. A sliver of light bled through the crack, flickering like a warning. Pressing myself against the wall, I held my breath, my pulse a deafening drum in my ears. "The transfers are done," Nathan said, his voice low, predatory, like a hunter stalking prey. "Just keep her in the dark." Transfers? My throat tightened until I could barely swallow. What was he hiding? Who was he talking to? My mind raced, piecing together fragments of a puzzle I didn't want to see. Then footsteps, sharp, deliberate. Panic surged, and I fled back to bed, pulling the covers over me just as the bedroom door creaked open. Nathan slid in, his movements smooth, practiced, as if he hadn't just been weaving a web of deceit in the shadows. I shut my eyes, forcing my breathing to stay even, though my mind screamed with questions. The mattress dipped as he lay beside me, his steady breaths a cruel mockery of the chaos tearing through me. He was betraying me, plotting something sinister, and it had everything to do with the life we'd built. I lay there, heart pounding, knowing one thing for certain, I couldn't stay in the dark any longer. The next morning, while Nathan slept, I crept into the kitchen, my phone trembling in my hands. I'd always left our finances to him, investments, savings, bills, trusting him blindly, as if love could shield me from harm. But today, that trust felt like a trap. I opened the banking app, my eyes scanning the transactions, each number a dagger to my heart: $1,000, $2,500, $800, $3,000, all withdrawn over the past 4 months, vanishing into a void I couldn't comprehend. My knuckles whitened as I gripped the counter, panic clawing at my chest. This wasn't for bills or investments. This was theft, cloaked in secrecy. Checking the accounts at this hour? Nathan's voice cut through my thoughts, sharp and sudden. I turned to see him leaning against the doorway, his sleepy smile a mask that didn't reach his eyes. His gaze flicked to my phone, a shadow of tension crossing his face, gone in an instant but unmistakable. "Just curious," I said, forcing my voice to stay steady, though my heart thundered. "There are withdrawals I don't recognize." He sauntered over, pouring coffee with a casual air that felt rehearsed, like a predator circling its prey. "Oh, those? Just small investments I forgot to mention." He took a sip, his eyes avoiding mine, his smile a thin veneer over something sinister. I nodded, pretending to buy his lie, but inside, a fire sparked, not just doubt, but a chilling certainty that he was dismantling our life, piece by piece. That evening, I watched him like a hawk. He texted constantly, always placing his phone face down, as if guarding a secret. He'd step onto the balcony for calls, his voice hushed, laced with an urgency he didn't want me to hear. Then my chance came. Nathan stood, announcing he was heading to the shower, and did something he'd never done before. He left his phone on the coffee table, unguarded. My heart raced, but I forced myself to stay calm, counting the seconds until the bathroom door clicked shut. I picked up the phone, my hands trembling as the screen lit up with a new message from Marcus Reed. Make sure she stays clueless. We're almost done. My grip tightened, my pulse stopping for a moment. Marcus Reed? Who was he? And what did almost done mean? A cold dread sank into my bones as I set the phone down, the sound of the shower a distant hum. Nathan wasn't just hiding something, he was orchestrating a betrayal that threatened to unravel everything I'd built. I steadied my breath, the water still running. I had minutes to act, to protect myself before his plan closed in around me. The next morning, Nathan acted as if the world hadn't shifted beneath my feet. He set a cup of coffee in front of me, his smile warm but hollow, a performance I now saw through. How's work? He asked, his concern dripping with falseness, each word a reminder of his deceit. I forced a weak smile, my heart heavy with the weight of what I knew. Fine, I said, my voice barely above a whisper, every fiber screaming to confront him. But I held back, knowing I needed to be strategic. Dorothy, he said, placing his phone face down as always, I think we should reorganize our finances. Just a precaution. You never know what life might throw at us. My eyes narrowed, but I kept my voice calm, masking the fury building inside. What do you mean? We should consolidate our assets, he said smoothly, each word a chess move in a game I hadn't realized we were playing. If anything happens, it'll be easier to manage. I'll handle the paperwork. You just sign. My grip tightened on my coffee cup, the warmth doing nothing to thaw the ice in my veins. He thought he could manipulate me, but I wasn't naive. I smiled, nodding slowly, my mind racing. Sounds reasonable. Can you show me the documents first? A flicker of surprise crossed his eyes. He hadn't expected me to agree so readily, but he recovered quickly, nodding with practiced ease. Of course, I'll have them ready soon. I didn't wait for soon. As soon as Nathan left for work, I called Sarah, my lawyer and college friend, my voice trembling with urgency. I poured out everything, the whispers in the night, the mysterious withdrawals, the chilling message from Marcus Reed. Sarah listened in silence, her calm anchoring me. When I finished, her voice was steady but urgent. Dorothy, you need to move your assets now. I'd been thinking it all night, lying awake as Nathan slept beside me, his presence a betrayal in itself. Hearing Sarah say it solidified my resolve, turning fear into action. We'll set up a trust, she continued. Transfer everything of value into your name. Nathan won't touch a cent. Do it, I said, my voice firm despite the fear gnawing at my heart. In 3 days, we finalized everything, the penthouse, savings accounts, my company shares over $400 million in assets, all protected, locked away from Nathan's reach. 4 days later, Nathan came home early, sitting across from me with an air of importance, his eyes glinting with a confidence that made my stomach churn. Dorothy, he began, placing a stack of documents on the table, his voice measured. We need to talk. I eyed the papers, my heart steady despite the storm within. I was ready. What is it? I want a divorce, he said, his voice calm, rehearsed, as if he'd practiced it 100 times. We've grown apart. It's for the best. I raised an eyebrow, showing no surprise, though my heart ached at the finality. Really? He hesitated for a split second, a crack in his facade, then pressed on. Yes, it's better this way. I stayed silent, letting the moment stretch, letting him feel the weight of his words. Then I pushed the papers back toward him. Before we talk about this, there's something you should know. He frowned, his confidence wavering. What? I met his gaze, my voice clear, each word a dagger. I've moved all my assets. The air thickened, heavy as a storm cloud. Nathan froze, his eyes widening, his jaw tightening as the realization hit. What? You can't take anything from me, I continued, my tone unwavering, though my heart pounded with a mix of fear and triumph. The penthouse, the savings, the shares, they're all secure. Nathan was silent, his face twitching with barely contained rage, his hands clenching into fists. He hadn't seen this coming, and the shock in his eyes was a small victory. I stood, meeting his stunned gaze with a calm smile, though inside, I trembled with the weight of what I'd done. You were right, Nathan. No one can predict what's going to happen. He didn't respond, but I could see his mind racing, searching for a way to regain control. It didn't matter. The power had shifted, and I held the cards. Nathan didn't speak for a full minute, gripping the divorce papers so tightly his knuckles whitened. His anger was palpable, a storm brewing behind his eyes, but he fought to maintain his composure, as if he still held the upper hand. I adjusted my coat, my heart pounding with triumph and lingering fear, the weight of his betrayal heavy in my chest. If there's nothing else, we're done here. He took a deep breath, forcing a smile that didn't reach his eyes, a predator cornered but still dangerous. We'll see each other in court, Dorothy, he said, his voice low and sharp. You won't get away with this. I smirked, holding his gaze, refusing to let him see the flicker of fear his words sparked. Try me. 3 days later, a thick envelope arrived from Nathan's lawyer, a divorce petition demanding half of all assets, including the penthouse, 50% of our joint accounts, and a monthly allowance, claiming I'd forced him to sacrifice his career for our marriage. I laughed bitterly, the audacity of his lies cutting deeper than I expected. Nathan had never sacrificed anything, I'd carried the financial weight of our life, pouring my heart into our shared dreams while he schemed. I called Sarah immediately, my voice trembling with anger and determination. We've got a problem, I said, flipping through the papers, each demand a fresh wound. Sarah chuckled softly, her calm a lifeline. Let me guess, Nathan's not backing down. Of course not, I sighed. He wants half my assets, the penthouse, and support payments. Sarah scoffed, her voice dripping with disdain. He thinks he has a shot. He'll try to wear you down, but we'll fight. I clenched my fists, the knot of fear in my stomach giving way to resolve. Then we fight, I said, my voice steady. It's time to show him he picked the wrong opponent. For days later, Sarah and I sat in her law office, poring over the case file. He doesn't stand a chance, she said, setting the folder down with a thud. You transferred your assets before he filed. Legally, he has no claim. And the support request? I asked. No grounds, Sarah replied. Your income was always the primary one. I exhaled, relief mingling with unease. Then my phone buzzed, an unknown number flashing. Be careful, Dorothy. Nathan doesn't play fair. A chill ran through me, but I pushed the fear aside. I couldn't let it derail me. 3 days later, something shifted at work. Colleagues gave me strange looks, their whispers trailing me like shadows. I thought I was imagining it, my nerves frayed from sleepless nights, until my assistant, Jessica, walked into my office, her face tense. You need to see this, she said, placing a printout on my desk. It was a post on an anonymous forum, CFO embezzling funds to hide money from husband during divorce. Can someone investigate? Below, comments piled up, one chillingly specific, I know her. It's Dorothy Carter at, company name. Rage burned in my chest, hot and unrelenting. Nathan's behind this, I said coldly, my voice steady despite the storm inside. Jessica nodded, her eyes filled with concern. If this spreads, it could ruin you. I took a deep breath, forcing calm, though my hands trembled with fury. I couldn't let Nathan destroy my career, the one thing I'd built with my own strength. I need to see Sarah now, I said, grabbing my phone, determination drowning out the fear. That evening, I met Sarah and poured out the latest betrayal, my voice shaking with anger and hurt. She frowned, her eyes narrowing. He's trying character assassination. He wants you to lose your cool. I won't, I said, my voice firm, though my heart ached with the weight of Nathan's relentless attacks. What's the plan? Sarah's eyes glinted with resolve. We send a cease and desist letter. If he spreads one more lie, we sue for defamation and reputational damage. 3 days later, Sarah slid a document across her desk, her expression grave. Nathan just filed a lawsuit accusing you of financial fraud. I froze, my heart plummeting. What? He claims you embezzled money from your joint accounts before transferring your assets, Sarah said, her tone calm but tense. And he's not alone. There's a co-plaintiff, Marcus Reed. I opened the file, my eyes landing on Marcus's name, a shiver running down my spine. Who is he? Sarah crossed her arms, her expression grim. A fixer. Known for forging financial documents. He's been tied to lawsuits, but no one's pinned him down. I flipped through Nathan's filings, my anger rising with each page. These transactions aren't mine, I snapped, my voice trembling with fury. Sarah nodded, her calm grounding me. We suspected that. If we don't act fast, this could get serious. Can we prove they're fake? Sarah's smile was sharp, a glimmer of hope in the darkness. Not only can we prove it, we'll turn it to our advantage. She handed the case to a forensic financial expert, and I spent the next week in a haze of anxiety and determination, jumping at every notification. A week later, Sarah called me into her office, her eyes gleaming with excitement. You're going to love this, she said, placing a file in front of me. They screwed up. The transactions Nathan claims you made are time-stamped before your joint account even existed. I blinked, my heart racing, a flicker of hope breaking through the fog. What? Sarah tapped the page, tracing a list of bank statements. This account was opened in August, but their documents show transactions from June. They didn't double-check. A smile spread across my face, slow and triumphant, as the weight of fear began to lift. They just destroyed themselves, I whispered, my voice thick with relief. Sarah nodded, her eyes blazing with determination. We're not just dismissing this. We're suing them for defamation and forging evidence. 3 days later, Sarah filed the countersuit. Defendant Nathan Brooks, along with accomplice Marcus Reed, knowingly submitted falsified evidence to defame and financially harm plaintiff Dorothy Carter. We demanded compensation for the damages they'd caused. Each lie a brick in the wall of their undoing. That evening, I sat on my sofa, savoring a rare moment of peace with a glass of wine, the city's twinkling lights stretching out before me. My phone buzzed, an unknown number. I answered, and a growling voice came through. You think you're smart, don't you? I smirked, my heart steady despite his venom. Hello, Nathan. I swear, Dorothy, you'll regret this, he seethed, his voice dripping with desperation. You have no idea who you're messing with. I leaned back, fearless, the strength I'd fought for rising within me. No, Nathan, you're the one who doesn't know who you're messing with. The line went dead, and I set the phone down, a smile lingering on my lips. He was grasping at straws, and I was ready for whatever came next. The courtroom was electric, the air thick with anticipation. I sat upright, my eyes locked on Nathan across the room. He wore a tailored suit, but his hands gripped the table, his knuckles white, betraying the unease he couldn't hide. The judge flipped through the documents, his voice steady, cutting through the silence. Based on the evidence, the transactions Mr. Brooks claimed Ms. Carter made were impossible. A murmur rippled through the room, and I glanced at Nathan, catching the twitch in his eye, the clench of his jaw. He knew what was coming, and the fear in his posture was a quiet victory. The judge continued, a forensic expert confirmed these transactions predate the plaintiff's account, indicating the documents presented by Mr. Brooks and his associate were fabricated. Sarah let out a quiet laugh beside me, and I felt a surge of satisfaction, a fire blazing free. The judge tapped his gavel, his voice resolute. The court dismisses all of Mr. Brooks' claims and orders him to cover the plaintiff's legal costs. I couldn't hide my smile as Nathan's shoulders slumped, his facade crumbling. His attorney stood, voice trembling, but the judge silenced him with a raised hand. Furthermore, due to the deliberate submission of false information, I am ordering an investigation into the documents submitted by Mr. Brooks and his accomplice. Nathan froze, the weight of his mistake crashing down. This wasn't just a divorce case anymore, he faced real consequences. The gavel fell, sharp and final. Court is adjourned. Sarah flashed a victorious smile, her eyes sparkling. A perfect knockout, she whispered. Nathan lingered, his steps heavy as he walked out, the confidence he'd once worn like armor now gone. I slowed my pace, letting him feel my presence, my quiet triumph burning brighter with each step. He turned back, meeting my gaze, his eyes filled with anger and defeat. I tilted my head, a slow smile spreading across my face. "Are we done here, Nathan?" He said nothing, his silence louder than any words. Outside the courthouse, I took a deep breath, the fresh air cleansing the tension from my body, washing away months of fear and betrayal. I'd won, not just a legal battle, but a war against the man who tried to break me. A week later, Nathan's lawyer tried to negotiate to avoid the criminal investigation, their desperation palpable. We declined. He brought this on himself, and I had no intention of letting him escape the consequences. 2 weeks later, whispers spread like wildfire. Nathan's colleagues talked about his failed scheme, his attempt to manipulate the law. His company dropped him, his reputation in the finance world shattered. He sold his prized Porsche to cover legal fees, and his Hamptons condo went on the market, a symbol of the life he'd lost. Everything he tried to take from me, he lost himself. Each loss a testament to his own hubris. I sat in my penthouse one evening, sipping a glass of wine, the city's lights twinkling before me. My phone lit up with a message from Sarah. "Congratulations, Dorothy. He's fallen apart." I smiled, setting the phone down, the weight of the past months lifting from my shoulders. I felt lighter than I had in years. The scars of betrayal remained, but they no longer defined me. The quiet of my home was a sanctuary, free from Nathan's manipulative texts, his late-night calls laced with threats. For the first time in months, I could breathe without fear pressing on my chest. That night, Sarah insisted we celebrate. At a rooftop restaurant in Manhattan, my closest friends gathered, their laughter a balm to my soul. As I entered, applause broke out, warm and genuine, a reminder of those who'd stood by me. Sarah raised her glass, her eyes shining. To Dorothy, who showed us never to underestimate a woman with a plan. I laughed, clinking my glass against hers, the wine rich with the taste of triumph. Jessica tilted her head, her eyes warm with empathy. "How does it feel knowing he has nothing left?" I set my glass down, a soft smile forming. "Relieving," I said, my voice steady but thick with emotion. "But more than that, it feels like freedom, like I've taken back every piece of myself he tried to steal." "What's next?" Jessica asked, her voice soft but curious. I took a deep breath, the city's pulse humming outside the window, alive with possibility. "Living," I said, a smile breaking through. "And never letting anyone have that kind of power over me again." Glasses rose in agreement, cheers echoing through the room, a celebration of my resilience. After dinner, I walked alone along Fifth Avenue, my heels clicking softly on the pavement. New York glowed under the night sky, its lights reflecting off the streets, creating a dreamy glow that felt like a promise. A cool October breeze brushed my skin, and I pulled my coat tighter, savoring every second of this freedom. My phone buzzed, an unknown number flashing. "This isn't over." I smirked, recognizing Nathan's desperate last grasp at control. Without hesitation, I blocked the number, the action final, empowering. He had no hold on the life I'd reclaimed. On my balcony, I gazed at the city's glittering horizon, the air fresher, lighter, as if I'd shed a burden I'd carried too long. My story with Nathan was over, its final chapter written in my victory. I'd won, not just legally or financially, but by reclaiming myself, by finding the strength to rise above betrayal. Some lessons come at a brutal cost, delivered in the harshest ways. I once believed Nathan was my partner, the one I could share every dream with. I ignored the red flags, thinking love could conquer all. I was wrong. Even those we love most can betray us, their actions a knife to the heart. But strength isn't about avoiding betrayal. No matter how careful you are, some will exploit your trust. What matters is what you do afterward. Do you crumble under their lies, or rise stronger, wiser? I chose to rise, to fight with a ferocity I didn't know I possessed. My battle with Nathan wasn't just about legal victories, it was a crash course in protecting myself emotionally and financially. I once thought love meant sharing everything, with no boundaries, no safeguards. But reality taught me that trust requires preparation, especially when money and power are involved. Nathan thought I'd be an easy target, a pawn in his game of manipulation. He planned, schemed, and believed I'd crumble. He was wrong. I stayed calm, made a plan, and struck back at the right moment, turning his arrogance against him. His haste, his lies, exposed the cracks in his scheme, and I used those cracks to bring him down, to reclaim what was mine. Sipping my wine, I let the subtle bitterness linger, a reminder of the pain that forged my strength. The past was behind me, its lessons carved into my soul. Ahead lay a future I owned, one where I'd never let someone control my fate. Life isn't always fair, and sometimes the people we trust most betray us, their actions a wound that lingers. But my story is more than a divorce lawsuit, it's a testament to resilience, to the power of preparation and self-protection. In every relationship, especially when finances are intertwined, never lose control over your life. When faced with betrayal, stay calm, make a plan, and strike back when the time is right. The greatest victory isn't revenge, it's reclaiming yourself, standing tall in the face of those who tried to tear you down. What do you think of my journey through betrayal and triumph? Share your thoughts and follow for more stories of strength and the unbreakable human spirit.